art cup. Hey, you, don't touch the art.
Funding for this nature documentary is provided by the Society for the Promotion of Art Cop, negotiating a richer future for Art Cop's bank account. Additional support provided by the Art Cop Parents Foundation, supporting Art Cop financially since 1992, and by listeners like you. Thank you. Good morning, world. It's a great day to be an art cop. The summer sun rises over the American Midwest. Across the city, shadows recede. The streets are hushed. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, this urban jungle is vibrant. City buses rumble downtown, traffic snarls the freeway, and bleary-eyed professionals walk the blocks briskly, prowling for coffee. Today is Saturday, a day of rest for many. But for the city's prestigious fine arts institution, this is the busiest day of the week. As soon as the clock strikes 10, the swarms will descend. The museum must prepare for the hordes, but with thousands of visitors flitting from Baroque to Byzantine Christian and back, reality is daunting. Priceless works of art hang on these walls, totally exposed. Consider a rogue toddler on the loose, stampeding through the galleries like a bull in a china shop, or the feral social media influencer who would gladly rip up a Basquiat for clout. Even museum staff can pose a threat. At any moment, an overexcited docent could trip over a stanchion and stagger into a Rembrandt. Enter the museum's security division. This dedicated team of professionals patrols day in and day out, always watching, always vigilant. Still, even with a full staff of security officers, threats persist. And so, over millennia, a new species has evolved, one adapted to withstand the threat posed by the most dangerous invasive species of all, the general public. Meet Securitas Supervisorous, the control room operator. The habits and customs of this fascinating creature have long remained shrouded in mystery, until now.
Me, 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 me. How many meerkats must I make muffins for?
That's Dr. M, Ph.D. Dr. M has dedicated her life to the study of the elusive control room operator.
Folks will ask me, Dr. M, why are you studying control room operators? You hear the word vocation thrown around a lot these days. I truly believe this is my calling. When I was a kid, I experienced a phenomenon. Look, I'm a scientist. I believe in empirical evidence, okay? But I can only describe what happened to me that day at the art museum as a miracle. I was wandering through the Renaissance gallery when I felt this presence, almost like I was being watched. There was this eerie strobe effect from a flickering spotlight. While I was standing there, the bulb suddenly burned out. The forces of darkness were emboldened. A cockroach scurried from the shadows. I shut my eyes, but I felt heat burning my retinas. I blinked, and, hand to God, sunbeams shot out of my eyeballs. That little fucker was eviscerated instantly. Zapped him with a bajillion lumens of pure, unadulterated sunlight. A single antenna drifted like tumbleweed, a warning to his cockroach brethren. I fell to my knees right there in that gallery. I knew I had been possessed by the righteous spirit of control room operators past and present. Since then, I have made it my mission to study these noble, selfless, caring, beautiful, sexy, kind creatures.
But not everyone has seen the light.
The study of the control room operator is an emerging field. We're at the forefront. Sometimes people don't understand. Like the time I showed up to the Louvre with a backhoe and an industrial drill. We just wanted to bore down to the museum basement so we could feed a camera into the control room. That would have been a goldmine of data. But the Louvre freaked out, and next thing you know, I'm being arrested and deported. So maybe I have a soft spot for Securitas Supervisorous because we're both misunderstood and underappreciated.
In order to better understand the operator, Dr. M has turned to the family tree, studying a species she describes as a second cousin twice removed.
Securitas Supervisorous is quite closely related to the meerkat. If you've ever seen a meerkat standing lookout atop their burrow, that's a behavior you'll see in the operator species too. That famous sentry behavior. The operators are on guard 24/7, including weekends and holidays.
But the watchers don't necessarily like being watched back.
It's difficult, yeah. You usually only catch a glimpse of an operator when they clock in. That's when they're cranky and a bit temperamental. They're overworked, underpaid, and about to spend the next 8 hours in a small, windowless basement. If you get too close, they might attack. Then, of course, at the end of the shift, they zip out so fast you actually have to slow the film down frame by frame to spot them. I'm out here on the museum dock doing some good old-fashioned dumpster diving. Since I don't have access to the control room habitat, I'm sifting through garbage to get a sense of the operator's diet. We've got candy wrappers, a lot of candy wrappers, chip bags, little Debbie wrappers. Wow, someone really likes their honey buns. We've got a recycling bin full of soda cans too.
All that, to Dr. M, is a worrying sign.
They say there are two certainties in life, death and taxes. Rest assured, I'm an excellent steward of your tax dollars. I mean, just yesterday I was awarded a government grant to install radon detectors in the museum to test my hypothesis that operators exude noxious gas. What was my point? Oh, right, death. Most people try to put that off as long as possible, but the operator's diet of highly processed foods, combined with prolonged sitting, is basically throwing yourself right into the Grim Reaper's arms.
And there's more than a heightened risk of cardiovascular disease stalking our operators. There's a predator on the prowl, lurking in the staff break room.
We see this quite often when the operator pops out of the burrow to forage. The vending machines are on the hunt. Operators are uniquely susceptible to the lure of the vending machine because the job is high stress and also intensely boring. We estimate operators consume an additional 1,000+ calories a day just from all the snacking.
Dr. M has studied a specific adaptation that makes the vending machine a killing machine.
Some predators have sharp claws or fangs to help them hunt. In this case, hardly anyone carries spare change anymore. In biological terms, prey adapted. Over time, predators did too. The vending machine evolved a credit card reader. Now, you just swipe your credit card and make your selection.
Please select a product. Authorizing. Thank you.
And your junk food of choice drops right into the slot. Convenient, empty calories at your fingertips. Before you know it, you've bought out the whole stock. That's a real danger for our operators. It's really ironic that their workplace environment is called the control room because that's exactly what they want but can't have. Control. You're just sitting around waiting for a disaster to happen. Well, pushing this machine's buttons is a way to exert some control in their lives.
By learning more about the operator's natural predator, Dr. M has been able to get inside the operator, literally.
I just bought a chocolate bar from the vending machine. Now I'm opening it very carefully. Using tweezers, I'm implanting a miniature listening device. Simple enough. Now I'll reseal the wrapper and restock the chocolate. And now We wait.
It doesn't take long for the operator to take the bait.
As you can see, the lure of the vending machine was too strong. Securitas Supervisorous will devour the chocolate bar, ingest the bug, and then we'll be able to hear everything happening in the control room.
Only a mangled wrapper remains as the operator returns to her burrow. Soon, the listening device is transmitting audio. These are the first operator vocalizations ever recorded, and Dr. M says the data she's receiving is groundbreaking.
We're beginning to decode many of the rituals that govern the operator's behavior. For example, shift change.
In this important ritual, the overnight operator is relieved of duty. This changing of the guard occurs 3 times within a 24-hour span. Much like the clicking and whistling of the dolphin or the elaborate dance of the honeybee, operators communicate using a complex language that has evolved over millennia. The basis of this language? Jangly keys. Using her own set of car keys, which she fondly calls her Rosetta Stone, Dr. M has begun to decipher the cryptic messages involved in the shift change ritual.
Do you hear the difference in the jingle-jangle duration? Long, short, long. The outgoing operator is jingling out a message in Morse code.
Roughly translated?
Get me the fuck out of here, please!
For the third shift operator, the day is done. He will return home and sleep. But for our first shift operator, the day is just beginning, and she must be prepared for the arduous work ahead.
The singing of solfege is quite traditional. Vocal warm-ups are a crucial preparation for the shift because the operator will be transmitting over the radio throughout the day. Obviously, hydration is key. The operator will sweat on average 7 gallons during a shift. That's about a gallon an hour.
Why so much sweat? Dr. M explains.
The control room is a stressful environment. You're sitting around, waiting for something catastrophic to happen, like a heist or a fire or a flash dance mob. The operator is always on high alert.
There's a biological cost to that vigilance. Operators are susceptible to a host of health issues stemming from high levels of cortisol, a stress hormone, in the bloodstream. But the operator is not left defenseless against these deadly chronic conditions. Dr. M shares a surprising adaptation that allows Securitas Supervisorous to beat the heat.
The operator body has evolved larger and more sweat glands in order to keep cool. You might see sweat pouring out of some pretty unexpected places. Earlobes, for example. Generally, you want to stay at least 10 feet away from an operator. Any closer, and you'll be in the designated splash zone. Take it from me. Whenever I have an intimate encounter with an operator, they get me pretty wet.
Keeping your distance? A relatively simple task when it comes to these notoriously reclusive creatures. In fact, only hand-drawn sketches of Securitas Supervisorous existed until the early 2000s, and those featured what Dr. M calls biological inaccuracies.
Well, obviously, the operators aren't able to shoot venomous barbs from their buttholes as has been routinely depicted, and they don't leave malodorous slime trails. Traditionally, the operator was used as a sort of boogeyman to scare local children into behaving. Like, eat your vegetables or the operator will snatch you up and force you to monitor security cameras all day for mediocre pay. That'll terrify any child. So, that probably heavily influenced the ancient depictions we have of the operator species, because not a lot was known about these creatures in the past.
But that might be about to change. For the first time ever, a researcher has been accepted into the gaggle, offering unprecedented access and a closer look at the unique behaviors and social norms of these evasive creatures.
6 months ago, I submitted an application for the operator position, and I got the job. At first, the culture was what I would term politely hostile. The operators are wary of outsiders. That's actually a defense mechanism.
As museums confront budget deficits, competition for resources is fierce. At the top of the food chain, the executive team hunts in a pack, prepared to pounce on any bonus or raise. The lowly operator is left to fight for scraps. During her 6-month probationary period, however, Dr. M embraced a mantra that facilitated her acceptance among the operators: survival of the fittest.
I ingratiated myself with this particular gaggle using a time-honored workplace tradition. Communal sweet treats in the break room. Cakes, donuts, cookies, brownies, pastries. I fed those operators so much sugar, their circadian clocks short-circuited. They went into full-on store-up fat for the winter hibernation mode. Can't be a vocal critic when you're stuffing strudel in your mouth. Can't keep an eye on me when you're snoring gently in your ergonomic swivel chair.
Over time, Dr. M says, the gaggle has come to accept her.
Any day now, I expect to upgrade our relationship from work acquaintances to work friends. That's a big step. That suggests the possibility of fraternization outside of work.
For now, Dr. M is focused on the present.
Tonight is my official induction into the gaggle. I've retrofitted this headlamp with a camera. We'll just strap this on and do a quick test before we go live. I'm here in the control room at 0300 local time. The induction ceremony is about to begin. As you can see, the gaggle is gathered in a circle. Each operator is holding a metal detector wand. Watch as they begin to wand each other.
Dr. M believes this is an instinctual behavior that almost certainly has given Securitas Supervisorous a distinct evolutionary advantage.
It's a behavior very similar to the social grooming you see in baboons or capuchins, for instance. It's really about bonding. Observe the stance. Arms and legs spread wide. What the operator is saying with the stance is, I trust you enough to expose my belly, and we'll probe each other with our wands. It's a deeply intimate ritual. It's all about trust and forming those bonds with each other.
After the initial wanding is complete, the ritual can continue. Beyond the dogma and liturgy, the operator inductee must also endure fearsome physical trials.
I've been given a football helmet and shoulder pads. There's a tackling dummy set up over by the water cooler. Thankfully, as a lesbian, I completed my mandatory rugby service right out of university, so this is familiar territory for me.
The tackling display symbolizes the operator's willingness to sacrifice their body to protect the art. However, much like the dazzling courtship ritual of the Western grebe, in which webbed feet slap the water so fast the fowl appeared to be walking on water, this tackling display is purely for show. After all, pancaking a visitor would almost certainly result in litigation against the museum. Poor form could also result in the filing of a workers' compensation claim by an injured operator. In generations past, this ritual featured live tackling with costly consequences.
I was told 3 operators have gone to a better place. Yeah, they work for the Louvre now. I guess a scout saw their tackling and signed them to the varsity squad.
Might a flashier, upstart potential mate swoop in and sweep our operator inductee off her feet? Perhaps one day. For now, Dr. M is content to settle for this humble Midwestern gaggle. But before she can be considered an official member, there's one final challenge she must conquer.
So, a fascinating evolutionary adaptation that Securitas Supervisors have is they don't blink. That way they can monitor camera feeds all day without missing a beat.
Just how does the operator's eyes remain lubricated?
Their eyes are just constantly producing tears. So it'll look like the operator is gently weeping for the entirety of their shift. But really, that's vital eye lubrication.
Dr. M takes us back into the control room, where she's in the midst of the final, grueling stage of the induction ritual, a staring contest.
I've been making direct, non-stop eye contact with the gaggle for 5 hours straight now. Apparently, the last operator inductee was a real introvert. He made it 10 minutes before he just shriveled up and died.
7 hours in, and Dr. M is noticing some alarming physiological changes.
My eyes are burning and bloodshot, and I'm starting to experience hallucinations.
Dr. M describes her vision in detail.
A giant wad of chewing gum rolls towards the Warhols. Smells like spearmint. We're talking boulder-sized, mowing down guards and visitors, picking up dust, lint, hairs, and dirt. And the only way to stop it is to start chewing.
As the seconds tick by, Dr. M's resolve only strengthens until, finally,
I passed the trials. I am now one with the operators. I have been clothed in the traditional victor's garb. This tiara is made from bent and broken keys superglued together. As you can see, my sash is made from the retractable belt of a stanchion. Once the Watcher's blessing has been recited by the elders, the festivities can begin.
Dr. M translates the blessing from the traditional jingle-jangle language.
May your field of vision be wide. May you see as clearly as infrared in the darkness. May you pan, tilt, and zoom to see all sides of a story. Go forth and watch and wonder at all the dumb shit people do. Your third eye has been opened.
A week has gone by since Dr. M's induction ceremony. She's now a fully accepted member of the gaggle, and she's already reaping the rewards of her unprecedented access, collecting data that she says will change our understanding of these unique creatures forever.
I'm holed up in the control room ceiling. I can see everything that's going on in that room through this vent. Today, we're hoping to tag one of these glorious creatures. Tagging is an important part of wildlife biology. You can learn so much about a species, migration patterns, social behaviors, and diet. The data we collect will help in our conservation efforts. I've been up here 7 hours straight, waiting for my opportunity. And, this is it! She's standing up for a stretch break. Finally! I've got my tranquilizer gun, just waiting for a clear shot. Okay, got her in my sights now. Ready, aim, fire! Okay, I've rappelled down to ground level. I'm going to approach very slowly.
Even sedated, the operator poses a potential threat.
Look, I'm 99.999% sure operators don't shoot venomous barbs out of their buttholes. But I borrowed this suit of armor from the museum just in case the barbs start flying. Okay, tracker is attached to the ankle. I'll just throw this camouflage blanket over myself and stand here silently by the water cooler until the operator does something super interesting and cool.
But no one said the work would be easy.
Hey, give it a rest, narrator lady. Jesus Christ, you sound like my mother.
The doctor crouches low, fangs bared, lips twisted in a vicious snarl.
Can we get back to Securitas Supervisorous? Or do I need to narrate this thing?
Right. And so Dr. M waits in vain, hour after hour, for something, anything, to happen. Finally, she packs up her tracking equipment and calls it a day.
Sometimes it's tough out there for an operator researcher, you know? There are days where you wake up and think, is it even worth getting out of bed today? For what? A 15-second glimpse of an operator?
As the sun sets over a certain fine arts institution in the Midwest, Dr. M reflects on another day in the field.
I feel heartened by the work I've done. Every data point is crucial. What I'm really pushing for, ironically, is greater protections for these protectors. If we don't take drastic action to improve conditions for Securitas Supervisorous, I fear one day that these noble creatures may be added to the annals of species lost to extinction.
Despite the challenges, Dr. M remains optimistic. She says awareness of the operator's plight is rising. Concerned citizens will approach her on the street and ask what they can do to help save the operators.
There are a few ways concerned citizens can get involved. First, envelopes of cash. Send your spare change to your local art museum, care of the security department. If you're cash-strapped, send hummus. We used to encourage pizza, but now we know better. Given the operator's sedentary lifestyle, we're trying to promote a Mediterranean diet. You can mail up to 3 tablespoons of hummus first class. You know what operators value even more than money? Gratitude. If you see your local operator out in the wild, a simple thank you for your service will go a long way. Remember, every day is Thank an Operator Day. Shout it out loud. Shout it proud. Because I think we can all agree the world is a better, safer place with operators on the watch.
Folks, if you find it in your heart to adopt an operator, send those envelopes of cash to Heist headquarters. Every dollar buys a burned-out operator another minute in Tahiti. As a thank you for your generous donation, you'll receive a link to live heart rate monitoring data, so you can watch your adopted operator relax on the beaches of Tahiti in real time. Next week, Trouble in Paradise? Join us for a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the real-world relationship struggles of 2 gal pals trying to make it work. At work. Armed only with de-escalation techniques and a fire extinguisher, will Art Cop be able to snuff out her lover's smoldering resentment? Or will her apologies fall on deaf ears? Find out next week. Until then,
Heist out.
Heist was written and produced by Art Cop and M. If word gets back to the museum's C-suite that we're making this podcast, our jobs will be endangered. Your support is critical for our conservation. Check out our website, heist-podcast.com, for full episodes and transcripts. Follow us on our socials at ArtCopGalPals on X, Heist Podcast on Facebook, and Heist Headquarters on Instagram. Remember, if you see an Art Cop in the wild, stop, drop, and roll. Your life may depend on it. We'll see you next time on Heist.